So what I want to do over the course of this video is to show you a host of techniques that you can employ to ship comics. And it really won't matter whether you are shipping these comics off to an individual or whether you are shipping them off to a third-party grading service to actually be graded. One thing that you'll realize as I go through this video and as you reflect upon this video is that there are a ton of different ways that you can do this, depending upon your situation, depending upon where the books are going, depending upon the resources that you have on hand. So just keep that in mind as you watch this. There is no wrong way. There are lots and lots of ways that this can be accomplished, and I'll be showing you several over the course of this video. So on the table here, we have some things like some cling wrap, we have a box cutter, we have some scrap cardboard, and I'll show you what that is for a little bit later. There are some additional pieces of cardboard that have already been cut to a specific size. There is a shipper, and I actually prefer Gemini shippers, and so that's what this is here. And then we have a couple of stacks of comics, and then I have a few things off to my side here that are not yet on camera, but I will bring on a little bit later. So let's say that you have a stack of books that you want to ship off. In this case, I actually have 3 books assembled. These are just some Terminator books that I had in a box that were readily accessible to me. And so let's say that I wanted to ship these books off. There are a couple of ways that I can actually do this, and I'm going to show you a couple here in just a second. But one of the easiest ways is to use this cling wrap right here. Right, so all you have to do is to pull out some of this cling wrap, and I like to spread it out here on a table, typically a clean table without some things in the way. So we'll kind of move a couple of things out of the way, give myself a little bit of room here. But we basically just spread out this cling wrap. We basically just take this stack of books, flip one over so that you have a backing board on the top and the bottom. You place the comics right in the middle. You fold over a little bit of that cling wrap, and you basically just flip the books. And what you'll do is as you go down here, the cling will get a little tighter. And what you want to do is as you flip, you want to keep a little bit at the bottom here for a flip or two. And then on the next couple of flips, you add a little bit up here at top. Hopefully you guys can actually see that, where I'm actually now trying to create a little space at the top here. And what you'll do is you'll just rip this off, right? So we'll rip that off and we'll fold this flap up here. And then I'll basically just use the table to flip down that little extra at the top, or I'm sorry, at the bottom, and then flip it the other way to close down the top. Now those books are basically sealed in there, right? Those books are not going to go anywhere. This is a really quick and easy technique for basically holding together a stack of books to prevent them from kind of slipping around inside of a box that you might put them in, versus using tape. Tape, super easy. Big fan of painter's tape, but you have to sometimes add a lot. You can potentially rip the bag that a comic happens to be in with the saran wrap. Super easy, doesn't add a ton of weight, which will eat up some of your shipping costs or add to your shipping costs. So the saran wraps are a really easy way to go. And again, it kind of holds everything in place quite nicely. So let's say that I wanted to go ahead and ship this. The cling wrap is already in place. Technically, this is ready to go. So I would grab one of these Gemini shippers and open this thing up and basically just drop this stack of books on the inside. And again, the flaps here on the Gemini shipper will actually hold that saran wrap in place. I typically put a piece of tape here on the flap to keep it closed. I close it down, and then I would add an additional piece of tape that runs the length of the box here, basically straddling the flap, a little bit on this side, a little bit on this side to kind of keep it closed. And depending upon how many books was in here, I would actually add a small piece of tape at either end to basically pinch it closed to make sure that nothing was able to get down into the side of the Gemini shipper. But these Gemini shippers are awesome. What I really like about these things is that there's basically a standard weight to these things. They can accommodate, somewhere between like 3 to 5 books, depending upon the size and the weight of them and still be under 16 ounces. For first class mail, which is what I like to do, you have to be under 16 ounces or 1 pound in order to qualify for first class mail. If you do that, you're basically only going to pay about, I think it's about $3, $5, something like that, to be able to ship anywhere in the country. So your cost is relatively low if you're able to keep your weight under 16 ounces. And again, it depends upon the size of the books, the age of the books, all that kind of stuff. But this is a really good way to go to be able to ship your books across country. Now, people might ask, why do I go first class mail? I'm a big fan of getting books to where they need to go as quickly as possible. My belief is that the longer that a book is in transit, the more likely it is that that book will actually get damaged. And so by shipping it relatively quickly in the first class mail, it lessens the likelihood that something is actually going to get damaged. So that is my personal preference. And I typically get these Gemini shippers in like the 100 or 200 increments, which keeps my cost relatively low per Gemini shipper, which again allows me to keep my overall cost for selling books relatively low. So again, great setup there, relatively inexpensive to be able to ship a stack of books across the country. The saran wrap definitely comes in handy. So that is one method for being able to ship books. So let's say that you need to ship a larger stack of books, something beyond, 3 to 5 books that might be under the 16 ounce limit that we were speaking of before with the Gemini shipper. So let's say you have 9, 10, 12, 13 books or something like that you actually have to ship. I want to show you a method for being able to do that. Your process is still the same. You still stack your books together. You use your cling wrap to go ahead and basically, set up your stack of books here. You also can still use your Gemini shipper, right? The Gemini shipper can actually accommodate some additional books. It can accommodate a larger number of books. The challenge is that it doesn't close down quite as nicely as if you're using a smaller stack of books. So I'm going to add a couple of things here. Just imagine that this were one large brick of books. And so we're going to stack these together, and then we're going to close down the flap here. And we would do the exact same thing. And you can see here that it does not close down as neatly as it would if it had fewer books in it, but it still will close. So what I would do is I would secure it with a piece of tape the exact same way, just across. I would not put the tapes on either end, and I'll show you why. I would just simply put one strip of tape down the middle here. And then what I would use is actually this envelope here. These can be a little hard to find sometimes. This is a flat rate legal envelope from the United States Postal Service. It is actually a pretty cool option here. It's one rate, any weight. I think this thing goes up to like 9 pounds or something like that. I think that's what it can accommodate. But I will basically then slip my Gemini shipper inside of this larger pack. And it fits really nicely inside of there, but I'd basically just tuck this thing inside of there, and then I would close down the flap, and then I would just shoot a piece of tape across this thing to make sure that it was closed properly. But this again is another option for being able to ship more than your 3 to 5 books. This can accommodate a nice amount of books here, and you can actually ship this one anywhere in the country for about $8. I think it's like $7.29 or something like that is the typical shipping. So now we've seen an option that will cost you $3, $4, $5. This is a $7 option. And then I'm also going to show you a more expensive option if you're sending a larger stack of books. Like if you're sending 20, 30, 40 books, I will also show you a method for being able to ship those as well. So now let me show you a method for being able to ship a larger number of books. And I have a small stack of books here, but let's just say that this was 20 books or 30 books or something like that. I'm going to actually show you a method for being able to ship this stack of books out to someone. We're going to set that off to the side. We're going to grab our saran wrap, and we're going to follow a similar process to what you've already seen. We're basically going to spread out our saran wrap. We're going to take our stack of books. We're going to place it right there in the middle. Going to fold over the flap here. Basically use my hand to kind of hold those books in place as I flip it over. And again, we're just going to kind of roll this thing a few times here. I'm not taking as much care because this is really just a simulation. So, just recognize that it is a simulation. If this were a real shipment, I would be wrapping it a whole lot more carefully than this. But basically, we just create a nice little brick. And again, imagine that this book was face down, right? We're just simulating here. So place that off to the side. I'm a big fan of presentation, especially when I'm selling books. I want things to arrive at a buyer's home in nice shape. And so whenever I have cardboard and things like that come to me that are pretty nice and clean, I tend to hold on to them because I typically will try to repurpose them. And so what I've done is basically taken a stack of cardboard here, and I basically cut it down to size. And what I try to do is to basically size it so that there is a little bit of white space, if you will, on all sides of a comic, a 1/2 inch to an inch on the sides and the top and the bottom. And really why I do this is to create some impact zone, right? So let's say that this shipment gets dropped on its side. There is an inch, 1/2 inch or so on the side to basically absorb some of that cushion. If it drops on the corner here, there's a little bit of protection for the comics inside. And I'll show you why that's important in just a moment. But basically, I save this cardboard. I use, my pen and a straight edge to basically, draw a line, and then I use my box cutter to be able to cleanly cut these pieces of cardboard down to size, because again, I think presentation is important. So we're going to set this off to the side here. Actually, we're going to set basically what we're going to do, and I'll show it to you, is basically we're going to create a brick. And I've shown this before in previous videos, but it's basically going to be a brick that is going to hold the comics on the inside and to give them protection when this ultimately gets dropped into some kind of box. And there's a couple of things you can do here. If you have some scrap, you can actually put some scrap pieces of cardboard on the side here to give a little bit of protection to the books. And again, depending upon, what you're shipping, how expensive those books are, how picky your buyer might be, you may want to go with some extra protection. So you can basically put some pieces of cardboard here on either side. You can hold those in place with tape if you want to go that route. You can also roll up pieces of bubble wrap and kind of tuck them in the side. And I'll show you how to hold that in place in just a moment. But it's just a way to give a little bit of extra protection in case the box gets pierced, especially if you're sending a large stack of books. If you have 40, 50, 60 books stacked on top, that's a lot of space between the cardboard. And so you might want to put a little bit of protection on the sides to give some added protection to the shipment. We're going to set this off to the side for just a moment, but we're going to grab our saran wrap again, and we're basically just going to spread our saran wrap out. And again, we're just going to kind of simulate this, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the bottom piece of this cardboard and the stack of books. I'm going to place it here with a little bit of extra on the side. I'm going to fold this across, right? And now we've basically attached the saran wrap to the stack of books, and I'm going to use my hand here to hold the books in place as I flip this stack over. And I'm doing this kind of holding those books in place, and I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to rotate. And so basically what I've done here is I've done this in such a way that now those books are held in place by the saran wrap. And so there's still a gap on this side, still a gap on this side. The books are still placed, appropriately centered on this piece of cardboard. I'll take the next piece of cardboard, place it on top, and I'll basically repeat the same process. Hold the cardboard in place as I rotate. Once, twice, and again, now this is being held in place. And what I would do is I would continue to kind of roll it. So I had a little bit of extra saran wrap at the top, a little bit of extra saran wrap at the bottom to make sure that the cardboard isn't going to slide bottom to top, because it's certainly not going to go left to right. So I would just basically fold this thing in such a way that there's a little bit of excess on either side and kind of hold things in place. But this is essentially how I would create a larger brick that would then get dropped into a larger shipper. And so what I would do is I would basically get a large shipper from the United States Postal Service. They actually have a large flat rate shipper box, and it is a square box. They have a long box similar to like a medium flat rate that you would ship a slab in, but they also have a square box that you can actually drop this inside of. And so what I would do in that case is I would basically put some bubble wrap on the bottom. I would drop the stack of books on top, the brick on top, and then I would put more bubble wrap on top, and I would basically ship that out. That large shipper will probably run you about 20 bucks, and you can ship again 50, 60, 70 books even in one of those large shippers from the United States Postal Service for about 20 bucks anywhere in the country. So now what we've looked at so far is a couple of different options, right? You've seen an option where you can basically ship first class mail, 3 to 5 books out in a Gemini shipper for $5 and some change. We looked at the legal flat rate envelope, which will cost you about $7 and some change, shipping that anywhere in the country. And now you've seen an option where you can ship a large stack of comics for about $20. So 3 different options for being able to ship your books essentially anywhere in the country pretty safely. And so I want to show you an additional method that you might be able to employ in the event that you are actually going to be sending some books and a large amount of books, and possibly even some really expensive books to like a third-party grader that you definitely want to protect. So let me show you that method right now. All right, so I've gone ahead and just mocked up really quickly a small stack of books of maybe, let's say, 5 or 6 books that we're going to drop into a Gemini shipper here. And again, these Gemini shippers are awesome, but basically what I want to do is I'm actually going to close this one up so we can go pretty much through the process. So basically take the small stack of books that have already been saran wrapped. I would close them down here with a piece of tape on the flap, kind of keep that in place. I would then close this down. And then as I've said before in the video, I basically put a long piece of tape across this piece here, a little bit on this side, a little bit on this side to kind of hold this thing in place. And I actually don't have that tape here in the room, so we're gonna have to pretend. But let me set this off to the side. What I want to show you here, this is actually a shipper from CGC. And so what I do whenever I get books from CGC is I tend to hold these boxes off to the side because they're super handy. And if you guys have never seen these boxes before, or if you have, you know what's in here. The top flap on these things are pretty robust. There's actually a nice piece here that sits on top of the books that have been sent to you, and this is some serious corrugated cardboard here. This is pretty tough. I'm trying to squeeze this, and this is pretty nice. But inside you have that exact same material that goes all the way around, and I think there's also a piece on the bottom as well that is similar to this that sits on the very bottom. But what I do is I save these boxes, and I save them because if you have your Gemini shippers, what you'll notice here is that this will fit in there quite nicely. And so what I do is if I'm sending a large amount of books off to CGC, I will fill these Gemini shippers with, again, anywhere from, 3 to 5 books, probably more like 5 to 6 books because they're kind of in this protected thing here. But I will stick them in here, and I will stick multiple Gemini shippers inside of here. And then I will put this piece back on top, and I will take this thing to FedEx, and I will ship this box right back to CGC. And it actually works quite nicely because, again, it is a protected box, very durable, and it's not a very heavy box. And so you don't have to buy all the packing material. You don't have to buy the box itself like you would if you were to go to FedEx or UPS or something like that. You have to buy boxes. They're not exactly cheap. This box from CGC is perfect. This thing accommodates slabs. It can also accommodate Gemini shippers quite nicely. And I will send this thing right back to them and save myself some money and know that my really expensive raw books that I'm sending them are actually being protected. So again, just wanted to show you guys one additional method for for being able to ship comics out, depending upon whether you're sending them to an individual or to a third-party grading service. There are lots of different options to be able to do this. Hopefully you've seen something in this video that you might actually find helpful. And if so, I want to definitely encourage you to hit the thumbs up button, to then leave some comments behind so we can mix it up in the comment section. And as always, if you guys need to reach out to me, feel free to do so at RegieCollects on Instagram and RegieCollects@gmail.com. Take care.